All right, Kev, we are back. And I don't know if you can tell this, but you see this giant bruise right here?
What the hell happened to you, Nick? I mean, that thing looks terrible. Did you get attacked by something?
I went skydiving. No, I didn't. I went bungee jumping. It was so traumatic, I must have forgotten.
But you told us about the bungee jump on last week's show. Did you go again since you went for last week's show?
So, okay, my bad. All right, so I will explain. Jeez. While I was bungee jumping, I was carrying all my equipment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is actually like an old scar, and when I picked up my book bag, it slid down and it blood blistered that portion. So
here's Nick. I don't want to say that I'm questioning your injury, but I will say you didn't bring it up last week. I'm wondering if you did some makeup just so you could flex for us like that and wear that tee. Basically, I'm surprised you haven't dropped the. Do you want tickets for the gun show yet? Surprised.
I've been juicing, and that's where I load up. As you can tell.
I was hoping, Nick, that was an injury from you trying to break back into the Big Brother house. I was hoping that maybe that was a little bit of barbed wire, because we talked about you were going to make an effort to battle back onto the CBS lot to get back in the show.
And the truth comes out. So I was battling back, okay? And
unsuccessfly, I guess.
Well, I ran into Victor, and he battled me out for the battle back in from the outside. So that's how it happened.
Dude, that guy is a stud. He you know what? He is the real Big Brother Messiah, because he keeps coming back from the dead, Nick. You just can't get rid of this guy.
I know, bro. It's just intense. All right, man. I wrote, again, as always, but this was a great episode, so I wrote down even more notes than normal.
You were almost like a court stenographer, Nick, where you're just feverishly writing dialogue. I mean, you probably have 8 or 9 pages, word for word, the entire episode written out.
Literally, this is how I do this. Oh, yes. Oh, great point. That's right. And I do it in this old English accent. Yeah. I don't know. It's just, yeah.
Man, I haven't watched episodes with you in a while. I think we'll have to do that. I want to see that. That sounds like that might be more entertaining than the episodes. Although I will say, this one was pretty good, Nick. There's some pretty good stuff.
This one was great, dude. As, you know, once you pass that middle hump and then you start getting into the later stuff, and strategy becomes a part of the game because it has to, that's when the beauty of the game. And when real lines are drawn and you can't undraw them, there's just no talking your way out of it. That's when the magic happens.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's getting really interesting as we get down the stretch, as you say.
All right. I'm just going to jump on it and go one by one. Here we go. So the first thing I noticed, and this is in the cutaway of the Sunday episode, it was Meech getting Corey on the block was a really awkward, weird thing. She was so maybe you should get up on the block now, maybe, kind of. It was so hard to watch.
Yeah, she's just usually hard to watch. She's either crying or, as Paul mentioned, vomiting. I do wonder if the Big Brother announcer, when he reads the copy, it's like, who the hell is Big Meech? I thought it was did you guys add another house guest? No, that's what they're calling her now all the time. Because do you hear some of the stuff they have the announcer say? I can only imagine to this guy, why the hell do I keep mentioning friendship? I'm still working on my impression, Nick. But yes, it was very awkward as the announcer was like, Big Meech makes an awkward speech and gets Corey on the block.
That's a pretty, that's pretty, if they need to back up.
I've been workshopping it, Yeah, if CBS wants me to fill in on a couple drops, I'll do it.
Dude, obviously. Yeah. The second thing I wrote down here is the Loch Mess monster. I loved it. I love endurance comps. I love everything about these kind of things. I feel like it really shows your real desire to be in the game, because it's pain versus your desire to be in the game, right? That's what it comes down to. And I also noticed that it's day 72. Wow, it's day 72.
Yes. Let me also say, Nick, I wonder if the Loch Mess competition was before or after the Ryan Lochte scandal, because that was a really great Twitter that was trending, was Loch Mess. And there was also Swim Shady, which I liked as well. So I did feel like they borrowed the name from the terrible, horrible incident with Ryan Lochte. But yeah, really good competition. Helps us really see who wants it the most. And can I say, Nick, how absolutely disappointed I am at Z and at Mama Day. I mean,
Bro.
they drop inside 17. It's your chance to get back once in a lifetime or maybe twice per day to get back in the house. And you show me that kind of heart that you almost don't want to be back in the house. You hold hands and you jump together. You need to stay up there till you fall off. How do you do that, Nick? I was shocked by that.
Less than 19 minutes. That's what I wrote down. That was my next note. I was so surprised. They're talking all this like, I'm gonna come back in. I'm back in all this game. You know what I mean? And then I was thinking, oh man, maybe a couple hours gone by. You know what I mean? Like maybe it really got physically they couldn't do 19 minutes, and it was kind of like, it's just not gonna happen. Goodbye. Like it was. Well, I couldn't believe it.
It tells me, Nick, that neither one of them want to be back in the house. I think Z's completely mentally broken from the Pauly thing. I think Day got out of the house a little bit and kind of took a breath. Did not want to go back in. That's what that told me, that they didn't want to be back in the house.
I think mentally you're right, dude. They just checked out. You know what I mean? When you're separated from the game that long, your brain's probably starting to return back to like normal, You probably don't want to subject yourself to that type of like psychological damage. You know what I mean? You're probably just like, I'm like fine.
Yeah.
I'm cool. I don't even need to go back in here. Goodbye. Yeah. Goodbye. Okay. The next thing.
Hold on, Nick. Can I say one more thing? Did you see Mama Day when she fell? She held her nose. She knows it's like 2 feet of water down there, right? Like you're not jumping into the deep end of some Olympic-sized swimming pool. You don't need to hold your nose when you're going in. You've already seen
I also wrote this down. Day said she's afraid of water and heights. Okay, it was ankle deep water. When you take a bath, there was more water. And it's less than 4 feet, the platform.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like if you stood on a chair to get Tupperware out of your cabinets, like that would be about the same height.
And having a glass of water next to you that you're scared of.
The sink is dripping.
Exactly. It's the equivalent. It was embarrassing, Nick. I was embarrassed for both of them.
So that was the other. Okay, so in the line here, it basically said that they jumped. I was so shocked that they jumped so soon. And then, like, I'm sure, you can see they either cut the DR portion of it before or after. I'm assuming they probably did it before and then they did a recap because they're all, they're dry and they're in their suit things. And it's as if they're like two different people. One's like, I can't believe I gave up $500,000. It's like it just happened. You know what I mean? Like you just did it. Like it was like two different people talking. Like whatever, I don't even care. I'm just gonna jump on in. And then the other one was like emotional and like I can't believe I just did that. It's like such a disconnect.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they're just disappointing all the way around in them. I wanted them to fight a little bit more for that. But then we're down to Pauly and down to Victor, which is really, that was the kind of battle back matchup we expected to see. And
there was also, I wrote down here, there was also Corey, right? And Corey, the funniest part about this, he lasted 25 minutes. Okay, so Corey was 25 minutes. They all fall in like how salmon like go upstream. Did you notice that? They all fall like this. Like it was the weirdest thing ever. Like they kind of like wobbled a little bit and then like fell in the water. It was the strangest, weirdest thing. Like not all of them did it, but Corey did. It was the Corey fish flop.
I watched a little bit of diving during the Olympics, Nick, so I'm going to say I'm an expert on entering the water, and really, really poor water entries, really poor form. Not a lot of graceful entries from our house guest here in the Loch Ness comp.
In that water, it's all built in the backyard. You know what I mean? So like it's an artificial pool. Like it's not, it's not very deep at all.
Not a natural spring.
Well, there is a natural spring in the backyard, which is what powers the hot tub and the pool. I don't know if you knew that or not. Yeah. It's actually pumped in from the LA River, which is right next door to the house in Radford on the Radford lot, which is also a very scary depth of about a half a centimeter.
Yeah.
Okay, I noticed this. I can't believe. I mean, I couldn't not notice this. Pauly's quads were just like immaculate. That is, I am scoring no straight points for that comment. But like, I couldn't believe. I was just like, wow. Like, that's like they're like so like it looked like he did squats every single day of the entire year, and he was struggling on it. And I was just thinking, like, dude, I mean, you look like you live in the gym.
Yeah, I mean, he had those quads and he wasn't able to really stand up there. They almost needed the quad cam, really. They needed that in like the upper right-hand corner, so at any time you could check to see what Paulie's quads were doing. But yeah, he was. they were like greased up. You know, he had some CBS PA grease up the quads beforehand, and then he had these little short shorts on. I mean, I don't know. Do they make house guests wear stuff, or can you choose what you want to wear, Nick? That's my question for you. Because why would you choose these little short shorts?
I'm just throwing this out there.
I mean, if you quads like that, I guess I've never had quads like that. Maybe that's why.
Look, I was a wrestler. I have like little chicken legs, so I'm one, jealous, and then two, if I did have quads like that, I'd probably just go in my underwear, dude. I mean, that's just, it solves the problem.
How much does CBS tell you this is what you have to wear during these comps? Because, you know, everybody usually is dressed in some sort of costume or outfit, and then how much freedom do you have, Nick?
Well, this is what I noticed, actually. In the comps and I wasn't in very many comps, but like when I was there, I noticed that it was all standardized. So like everyone had the same type of shoe. Everyone wore the same stuff. This comp, they didn't. It was like your choice for what shoe to wear. They all had different shoes on, which I thought was really interesting because like it's kind of unfair if you came in with really nice shoes. You know what I mean? Like if you came in with really grippy, whatever, like track shoes, it would make a big difference in comparison to like, let's say like if you're wearing hiking boots or something.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they do have some control, but obviously not as much as I thought, at least for this one. I wrote this down too. Victor wins. Couldn't believe it. The dude's been evicted twice now. He comes back in twice. He's been evicted twice, 3 times?
Yeah. I mean, should he win the game, and right now it doesn't seem like he will, but there's a chance. You'd have to put him up there on the Mount Rushmore, or at least the top 3 or 4 contestants, purely based on the fact that he's gone home twice, he's battled back. Should he win the game, he's got to be in the conversation for top 3 players of all time. And that could be an interesting question for our viewers maybe to write in the comments who their top 3 players are of all time. But I think if he wins the game, Nick, doesn't he at least have to be in the conversation?
Bro, even if he doesn't, that is such an impressive feat. I mean, look, we kept saying Jose was the Messiah who was going to come back, who never came back. This guy's actually coming back. He is like the Holy Ghost, and, you know, he is the Trinity, dude.
Yeah, no, very impressive. And, man, he keeps going forward, keeps winning these comps, and it's impressive. It's impressive. As I said, I was hoping he would leave and then have a chance to come back in just to be able to do this.
And he did. I remember you saying that last week, and he actually did. Here's something else I wrote down. Nicole and James are like kind of, you know, they're doing this like little like faux type deal thing. They're trying to make deals, right? And it's so interesting, like when people are like justifying why they're trying to win HOH. It's like, we know why you're trying to win HOH. It's like, I really want a letter from my mom.
I know.
I don't buy that, dude. I don't buy that for a second. You want to win HOH, so you got the power, so you don't go home.
Yeah. I miss my doggy Cheetos, or, you know, like I miss my kitty Muffin. I don't know, terrible pet names. I don't know where I'm pulling these. But, yeah, they always throw these sappy reads in Nicole, like, oh, I want a letter from Jenny. It's like, no, you don't. You want to have also the full power, full control. At least be honest with it. I was disappointed for James to be able to make this deal. We're at the point of the game where there's so few targets. You can't just trust that somebody's going to keep their word when you are him and Natalie are a decent percentage of the house guests left. So I was really disappointed for a comp that he can win. He's proven that he could win. He needs to win this HOH to keep Natalie safe, to keep himself safe, and not trust Nicole that she's going to keep her word when we're down to what, the final 6, final 7 now that they included Victor?
So now, we're in a final 7 because he came back in. And I wrote down the same thing. I wrote, deals, no wait, this stage in the game. No. James, bad move. I mean, early on in the game, we have all these like buffers, you know what I mean? Like, there's so many people that could go home, and there's really no alliances. Now there are definite alliances, you know what I mean? It's like, we already know there's like pairs in the house. And so there's really no getting around that. It's just obvious that those are the pairs. And so why on earth would you be like, you know what? We're pretty close to the Final Four. I'm going to go ahead and trust you with this extremely crucial HOH. Like,
I mean,
no.
The only thing I could see is if he knew he's like a 30 seconds to a minute away from dropping, it's better to get something, even if you don't know if it's going to work, than to not get anything and drop. So I guess if he was in that bad of shape, maybe make the deal. But man, I'd stay up there until I fell off the wall just trying to compete for that HOH. It's too important at this stage of the game.
Dude, I would have hooked my skin, my back skin, onto the ledge, and I would have died of bleeding before they could have got me off.
I wished you did battle back. That would have been some great television right there.
Dude, I would have. Oh gosh, if they would only have given me the chance.
Damn it.
This would have been like a bruise, all over my face. It would have been crazy, dude.
Yeah. But
here's something else I wrote down here. They're kind of interviewing Meech in the DR. She just appears so apathetic. It's yeah, it sucks and stuff. I'm probably going home. Maybe, probably, yeah. It's no fight. Just kind of whatever.
She calls herself a super fan, Nick, but it seems to me she's kind of oblivious to the show and the strategy at some point. After James made that deal and we've got Nicole ultimately winning HOH, she goes in to talk to James. She's like, tell me about this deal that you made. It was you and Natalie. Did you include me? What Big Brother planet are you living on where James is like, all right, here's the deal. I'll give you the HOH, but Meech, Natalie, Paul, Victor all have to be safe. And trust that they're going to do that? Why is he going to try to include Meech in the deal? It's unheard of. And she seemed like she was offended, he should have done this. He should have included me. I don't know if I can trust James right now.
The deal was absolutely Meechless. You can't ask for much.
I like that.
You can't ask for much at this stage of the game. I mean, you can barely ask for them just to follow through on what you even agreed to. You know what I mean? I mean,
I'd be
let alone do you know what that's like, dude? That's like getting invited to a super exclusive party and it says bring a girl and you're like, hey, is it cool if me and my 6 dude friends come in? That's never cool.
Nick,
you're never getting into the club ever.
At this point of the show, I wouldn't even trust somebody to pass me the pepper or to get me a cup of water, much less trust somebody to keep me safe and not on the block, or to ask somebody to make a deal with their showmance and just include me in the deal as well. She's oblivious.
Absolutely, dude. And then, okay, in this post, James not winning, who was actually kind of a little jerk was Natalie. I mean, she came in just bossing James around, and she was being selfish. That was the distinction. It was you should have won it because I need to be safe. It wasn't us. It was me.
Yeah.
I was kind of,
I mean, at the same time, I could see her being a little frustrated with James, or she sees it and she's like, James, you own this comp. This is a comp built for you. And she knows that between the two of them, she feels at least, I don't know if it's true, she feels that she's kind of the one that would go home over James. So yeah, I don't know. I can see her being a little disappointed and be like, James, that was our comp built for you, man. I won it last week. This was your week to get it done.
I don't know, man. Just didn't like her attitude. If I had voted on the care package, it wouldn't be to her.
But it goes to Corey? It went to Michelle last week and Corey this week? I mean, man.
I have no clue what's going on, people. Here's a second note that I wrote down. Paul, so smart. He's leveraging future deals. I like that because that tells me he's thinking real strategy. That is something that someone who thinks about strategy would do, which is by saying, we don't know what's coming down the pipeline. Let's make a deal now. So then what does happen, we now have already made this deal. Yeah. I like that. That's an insurance policy. That's him thinking very creatively and very strategic, and I love it.
And at the point of this game, I think, early on, people try to play too hard too quickly and leave, but this is absolutely the point of the game where you really need to start playing hard. And I think
wouldn't know anything about that.
Yeah, exactly. But, Paul's somebody that because he is really forward thinking in his strategy, he's also lucking himself into some really good strategic moves. He was trying to buddy up with Nicole and Corey last week strategically, and he kind of moved himself into a good spot this week. So I think the more that you're actively playing the game, the more you're going to create opportunities for yourself. And he's kind of created this opportunity through getting a little bit lucky to now solidify this Final Four deal with Corey and Nicole, which looks like, at least based on the show, looks like Nicole and Corey are taking this more seriously than their deal with James and Natalie.
Which is literally called the Final Four.
Yeah. Yeah.
I actually said that, like, in this part of the show, like, I thought it was a smart move for Nicole because for this reason. At first, I was like, I kept teetering back and forth. I was like, no, go for the people, go for the threats. And I thought, wow, look, I mean, if it's come down to like 3 pairs, right? And so if you're going to target somebody and you're in between those 2 pairs, yeah, take the straggler out at this point in the game, which is Meech, right? The floater, sort of, just get rid of her. This way, the other pair sort of falls, the power does, you can then go to that pair. But either way, I mean, I think it's kind of a good move for her to be in the Final Four.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I was kind of on the other side of this where I feel like if it's a Corey, Nicole, Victor, and Paul Final Four, I think Nicole and Corey are at the real disadvantage. People really, really like Paul. And it seems like, I mean, they've soured on him, but the jury, I feel like, likes Paul. And the jury also likes Victor. He's battled back. I feel like that's a tougher Final Four for Nicole and Corey to win than Natalie. Hasn't won much. James hasn't really won much. I feel like for them, the better move would be to target Victor and Paul, because then you've got Nicole, Corey, and then you have the 2 others where it's just a better Final Four for them. I feel like.
See, it sounds good, and then until you start to look at the risk involved. Let's say you do split them up, right? Let's say you split up Vic and Paul. We're going to go to one side of the house, and it's probably not the one that is your side that just evicted them out, right? So then you have 3 and 2. So no matter which way you look at it, if you split up a couple, you're like on the downside. So just get rid of the floater and don't be in the hot seat.
Yeah, but that's the only thing with that is then you've got James and you've got Natalie thinking that you're solid with them. Should you get rid of Paul or Victor? Well, now you've got 2 floaters. You've got Meech, who she's just in the house, as we said. She's like evicting the lamp, basically. Like you can get her out at any point, any week, and then you've kind of solidified James, Natalie, and Nicole and Corey as your Final Four. And for Corey and Nicole, that's an easier Final Four to beat than the 2 of them plus Victor, who's a comp boss, and Paul, who's a better strategist than them. I was a little surprised at it. I can understand why they did it, but I feel like overall for a game strategy, I would have tried to get one of the 2 of them out of the house, because now everybody is kind of playing both sides a little bit, and I think that's why next week's going to be really interesting. But I just think Paul and Vic, they're the strongest couple left in the house. So do you really want to be paired with the strongest couple? I don't know at this point, Nick. I don't think you do.
I disagree, but I disagree because I'd rather follow the power into the vacuum than to split it and have chaos and then sort of just like die in the chaos.
Yeah. I don't think it's chaos, though. That's the only thing. I mean, if because James and Natalie still think they're good with Corey and Nicole, so that's a foursome that will stay together. And then you've got Meech, and then you've got Paul or Victor, 2 stragglers. So
I guess we'll have to see this week, Kev.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, like how you leaned in right there. Whoa.
Yeah, you like that?
Oh, yeah. If you had flexed right there, it would have been really special.
Exactly.
Damn it.
Here's the other thing I wrote down. Corey gets the care package, $5,000. He gets to bribe somebody. I think at this point in the game, the only person that could even work for would be to bribe Meech, because she's going out. I don't even know what it would be for.
Yeah.
And that's the only person that would even take the money. Everyone else thinks they're winning. So it's basically, hey Meech, here's $5,000. Evict yourself. That's basically what that is.
Yeah, Corey's gonna do something. I mean, he just there aren't too many light bulbs going off up there with coming out. Trying to figure out how he's gonna use the bribe. I'd be curious from our viewers, Nick, on which pair they think that Corey and Nicole should go with. Should they go with Vic and Paul? Should they go with James and Natalie? So throw it in the comments section of what you would do if you were them. But yeah, I mean, Corey somehow gets the care package again, Nick, and he's confused by it, like what he could use it for.
I thought this part was hilarious. They cut in this like music where it's like he's like the cheese and master, and he's coming up with all these revelations. He says, "What is the purpose?" And then it's like, we could get them to do some really crazy stuff.
Yeah.
It's like he's thinking like, dump like mac and cheese all over my face. Like he's thinking like pure entertainment value. Nicole is the only one in the driver's seat right now thinking like, yeah, we should probably use it for like strategy and stuff. Yeah. Like that would be a good idea.
He was just totally broing out and be like, dude, I bet we could get someone to try to drink a full gallon of milk in 2 minutes. Like having a total bro moment rather than think about Big Brother and be like, maybe you should use this money on, I don't know, like votes or strategy or something versus like how many Cheerios you can eat in a minute.
He totally had a bro moment, 100%.
I like that. Look at you. I like that.
And yeah, I mean, if let's say that later down the road, right, Nicole and him end up together, I think Nicole should be the one who like controls the credit cards in the household. You know what I mean?
I would give Corey a $20 bill every Monday. That's all. And I'd send him on his way. I'd pack his lunch, give him a 20 and say, Corey, this is your money for the week. Go enjoy it. Go think about Christmas. He did get the candy cane though, Nick.
He did. Yeah. It was on point, dude. The other thing I wrote down here was another quote, and it was, "The suspense kills my life." That was Natalie. I mean, I couldn't help myself, dude.
I know.
I mean, it's just one of those quotes where you're just like, what? I don't, what?
Yeah, well, at least she stopped saying shut up every 4 or 5 sentences. When she's excited, when she's angry, when she's sad, almost kind of like a dog wagging its tail. You can tell what her mood is by the tone and the way she uses the word shut up. So at least she's transitioned from that to using other things, I guess.
Baby steps, you know what I mean? Baby steps.
That's all we can ask for.
Here's the last thing I have down here. I absolutely loved Paul's final DR moment. He says, "I'm going to send the crying, vomiting super fan home."
That was, I think, one of the best lines of the entire show. That was hilarious. And, honestly, it was a really good move for Paul to go on the block because he was probably going on the block anyway. So why not have a chance to try to show your allegiance and show your loyalty? And again, kind of like you said earlier, he's playing for tomorrow, playing for next week, playing for 2 weeks down the road. And that was a smart move. I think he's playing the best game right now. We'll see how far it does get him, but it was a smart move for him, and that was a great quote.
I think he's the only one playing the game. I feel like everyone else is just totally reactionary. They're like, "Oh my God, like I'm like on like the block and stuff. I should get like the veto or something," yeah. Right? It's
the only other person that I think is playing is James, but I would say yes. I think Paul is playing the best game, and yeah, everyone else, Corey, they're all just chilling, hanging around, and not doing much in the house. So
didn't get the memo. It's not the real world. I mean, who knew, right?
Who knew? I know. Or the Bachelor, Z. What are you doing? It's not the Bachelor. There's no roses here. Paulie's not handing out roses, and we saw that blow up in the jury house too. How awkward was that?
Oh my God, dude. So, I'm just so glad I'm glad I'm not there. I'll be honest, man. I'm happy that I'm out on the outside for once.
Paul has to know that there's nothing you can say there that's actually gonna make you look good. Let them be upset. Let them say stuff to you. Don't engage them. There's no way you're actually gonna look good there by trying to argue and be catty with them and everything. It was not a good look for Paul.
Fighting fire with fire is just not working. Hey, Kev, what are your predictions this week?
I mean, I hate to be boring with this, Nick, but I'm gonna say Meech goes home. I was hoping maybe we'd see some sort of big move from Nicole to either go at Vic and Paul or go at Natalie and James, but it seems like her target is Meech. We know Meech. Well, I don't want to say we know. There's a strong chance Meech is not going to win a comp, so she's going to be a target up there. The only thing is going to be whether the chatter gets in Nicole's ear and either side of the house gets her to target the other. But I'm going to say Meech is still up on that block, and I'm going to say she goes home, which then sets up a great HOH battle next week when we have 3 pairs, and then a line will really have to be drawn on the sand.
I'm going to make a wild prediction.
I did not see this coming. I could have predicted that would happen. If you had asked me, will Nick Uhas make a wild prediction? The answer is yes.
As always, every week. Sometimes they're right, you know what I mean? So sometimes I'm not too far off.
That's true.
I think that Paul will win veto, pull himself off, and Vic and Paul will convince Nicole to put up James, and I think James will go home.
You know what? And again, that does not sound that wild. That definitely, with this Final Four thing, it seems like that's a little bit more solid than the Natalie and James allegiance. So I could definitely see that, Nick. That's why it's going to be very interesting now with the show, because there's so few numbers and everyone's trying to make big moves. Really, anybody could be a target here this week. So it's going to be interesting. I would rather see that than see Meech go home.
No one is safe with the twistiest twist of the summer.
Here's a question for you, Nick, and for our viewers. Does Meech cry when she gets evicted? Because she's proven to be a little bit, when you expect her to cry, she usually cries. But there have been a couple times she hasn't. Will she cry when she gets evicted? I would want our viewers to chime in as well. What do you think?
Kev, it's 11:34 here on the West Coast. I have a wild prediction. She's crying right now, okay? We don't even know why. I don't know. Nail polish. It could be the dishes. She's just crying. We just know she's crying.
Hey, Nick, she said this week, I'm up on the block and I didn't cry. Maybe her body is completely devoid of water. She's got no more water left in her body for anything to come out her eyes. I don't know.
While we are still in a drought here in California, we do know now that the house is right next to the LA River, and so they got plenty of water, and she can rehydrate and just cry, and everyone's happy.
That's right. Everybody wins. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. I'm pumped for Wednesday to see who wins the veto.
Kev, where can we find you?
I am at KevSoup on Twitter, and KevSoup.com is the website. Thank you all for watching. We appreciate it. Feel free, add comments, ask questions, throw down your predictions, and we'll see what happens here this week.
Awesome. You guys can find me at Nick Uhas on Twitter and Instagram, of which I now do a story every day because who needs Snapchat? And thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. It is right here. Kev and I do at least one video every week, sometimes two, when we just feel like it was an amazing episode. So it's either a Thursday or a Sunday. It usually comes out on Monday or Friday. So hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you really soon.